What's going on, guys? Army-Firedawg is back again, and today I finally have the review of the Schiit Audio, their Lyr 2. This is their counterpart, or the other half of the Schiit stack of the Bifrost 4490 that I just recently reviewed, and is becoming most certainly one of the more well-known amps out there, especially in its price per quality performance. So I've had this unit, like my Bifrost, for about a year, just shy of it. So I figured it's more than past due for me to give my review of it. So anywho, as always, I like to start with the construction and then work my way down. So the construction of the Lyr 2, as you can see here, is really nice. It has a U-shape, aluminum through the top, bottom, and the front is all one solid piece of aluminum. The back is where all your inputs is. Starting from the left, you have your RCA inputs, RCA outputs, the high and low gain, the on and off switch, and then the power input. The front, very simply put, you just have your Schiit Lyr 2 logo. The buttery smooth volume knob, also made of aluminum. And then the 1/4 inch headphone jack, single-ended headphone jack. And then finally on the top, you have the business end. This is where your 2 tubes can go, in which case I use the new old stock 1968 Amperex orange globes. That played a very large part in my review. I really didn't care at all for the stock tubes. They just did not do this justice. So I strongly concur you, if you're going to get a Lyr 2, or any Schiit tube amp product, I highly concur you to buy better tubes. The stock one does the job, but not to what their products can do. Anywho's, so you have the slots for the 2 tubes, and then you have a very nice vented port around it. It's the same material as what's on the sides. So that way this keeps both the amp and the tubes cool, and that does a very good job at preserving the longevity of this product so you can use it longer and more efficiently. So the construction of the Schiit Lyr 2 is just like all their products I've tried, only reviewed 2, that's been the second one, is just spot on. It has a very heavy and solid weight to it. It just looks solid and it feels solid. So long as you generally take care of the product, I am confident it will last a very long time. Now, a potential negative, not really a big one, but it happened to me, so I'll pass it on, is this amp gets very hot. I mean, very hot. They do a great job with venting it as much as feasibly possible with, the sides, top, and the other side, and also the material itself. The aluminum acts as its own heat shield. However, this amp still gets very hot. Nothing that catches flames, they don't get that hot. But like your PlayStation or computer, anything that needs to work on a fan to cool itself off. Also, on a slighter note, but again, happened to me, on the bottom, these feet are glued on. So over time, actually here it is, the one that fell off, the glue will become dislodged because of the heat and you'll lose a foot. At least I lost one and then this one become dislodged. Again, nothing big, but the heat will cause the glue to dissipate over time. Now, next, moving down, most amplifiers are really straightforward. You plug in, you turn them on, and you play. Not much special. With the Lyr 2, it's pretty much the same thing. However, there's a couple features I do think is really cool. The first off is that these can be rolled with many different styles and brands, etc. of tubes. I will of course leave a link in my full written review, which of course will be linked in the description box down below. That's a lot of linking, but just click the buttons. Anywho, so that is really awesome. So you can definitely fine tune the sound to what you want. Now, and this is getting into the sound section, so it's a caveat to it. You're not going to change the overall sound of the amp. The Lyr 2 has its own sound. It's going to sound how it wants to. The extra tubes you want to put in just kind of leans it a little bit differently. So now, another really cool feature is that not only can these power super hungry headphones, such as orthodynamics or very finicky and annoyingly picky headphones, such as the HD800, and insert whatever. It is also very capable of powering very sensitive products, even my custom Empire ears from a 6. Now, it's not a super pitch black background, you still hear some static, but, and actually I need to go back a little bit. When you're powering high-powered orthos, all you need to do is change your gain switch right here to high. This will greatly boost the power output, and on higher sensitive headphones, I would recommend like 300 ohms and above, or super low sensitive headphones, you want to have higher gain. But when you have sensitive products, such as traditional phone-powered headphones, or in my case, your customs, make sure you have this on low. You can drastically hurt your drivers if you still have that on high gain and you plug in a sensitive headphone. Please be wary of this. Just simply, when you're changing your headphones out, make sure you're on the correct gain. And make sure your volume is low. I always recommend doing this. Always start on the minimum setting and then go up. On any time you change your headphone or anytime you start a listening period, turn it all the way down, go from there. That's not about it for the features. Like I said, there's not too much to it other than it can just be, it's very versatile, as in it can power just about anything from sensitive to not. And also you can roll your tubes. That's really cool, and not, tube amps can generally do that, but not to the degree that I've personally found as the Schiit Lyr tube. One thing I forgot with the tube rolling is you can also make the Lyr 2 a completely solid state amp by means of Schiit's list, which stands for, and I believe it's Linear Integrated Solid State Tube, if I'm not mistaken, or list. That will make this completely solid state, so if you want the accuracy versus the warmth of a solid state, you now have that option thanks to their list. Right, and then finally we're moving down to what you all care the absolute most about, probably the most important feature, and that is the sound quality. So how is the sound of the infamous Lyr 2 product? This headphone tube amp has rated consistently really high on all the reviews, whether it be HeadFi, whether it be YouTube, whether it be insert another forum site. The Lyr 2 ranks very high, which is why I purchased the Lyr 2 and the Bifrost, that shit stack combo. I heard great things, and now I honestly have to say they are worth every flipping ounce of that hype. This amp, for its price, which brand new is only, and I say only, but bear with me, $450. The amount of power and control and finesse and just breath it gives the headphones, whatever you want to plug into it. I've yet from HD 650s, HD 800s, Hi-Fi Man's Edition X's, Audio-Technica, the W5000s, whatever. They all, actually with the caveat of the W5000s, they don't really pair too well with this amp. But just about all headphones I have put through this headphone amp sounds amazing. So the Lyr 2, and you can go to my written review, and I have a picture of all the outputs and watts and whatnot. But it's just such a nice sounding amplifier. And like going back to all the control I mentioned, so in this price point of $450, that's about mid-fi. That's bad, $450 like mid or low-fi at this point. But at that price, there's a lot of other nowhere near as premium looking or sounding amps out there. None that I've personally tried. Anywhere from the $500 and less, I've not even come close to listening to anything that can compare to the Lyr 2, in my personal opinion. And I've tried a lot, whether it be at audio meets, reviewing here, etc. Even reviews I'm unable to post. But, and I will use the, previously, quite a few months ago, I reviewed the SPL Audio, the Phonitor E. Yes, it's a great sounding amp. Don't mistake me on that at all. However, in my opinion, it just did not do the control, and it didn't give the warmth. Yes, it's a solid state tube, I'm aware. But it just didn't, headphones didn't sound as nice or as natural through the SPL amp, Phonitor E amp, that it does for the Lyr 2. The Phonitor E, I've been able to find, it usually ranges from about $1,400 to $1,800 for that amp. But more than 4 times the price of the Lyr 2. The Lyr 2 performs, in my opinion, better than that amp. And that goes to saying a lot. Just like the Bifrost review I did before it. The quality it has versus the price was just minimally outdone for my new DAC, which is just shy of $1,900 it costs brand new. Same thing with the Lyr 2. I will use one of my favorite headphone amps I have ever listened to, the iFi iCan Pro. That amp is $1,700. And yes, it outperforms the Lyr 2 in pretty much every aspect. But just like the Bifrost and the PS Audio I have, it's not a lot. It is a very fractional difference. And it's the curse of audio. The higher price you go, the harder the diminishing returns get. And with about any Schiit product I've tried, so Schiit really is solidifying their name in the audio world. It's not just a fad. I am confident that they will be around for a while because they're making products such as this Lyr 2 and their Bifrost and all other previous mentioned products. So, getting back on track, apologies for going off on the tangent, but the overall sound of the Lyr 2 I found is very dynamic. It has a very forceful presence to it. The bass is probably going to be the first things you're going to notice when you're listening to it. For example, when I'm listening to the HD 650s, I love the mids, the natural mids in it, and that scales very well. And through the Lyr, the bass becomes notably tighter versus my previous amp, which was the Own X1S or even the Audio G NFB 15.32. It just became so much tighter on the control. The mids just opened up and became more full of more. They had more body to them. It sounded more natural. I could hear the breaths of when they sing or when they breathe. I could hear that so much more natural through the Lyr than I have on other said products. And also, it does a great job. It actually opens up the soundstage. Even though I'll use the HD 650s again, but when I'm listening to it, and that has a great soundstage as it is, but it really opens it up and it just kind of gives a very airy, a very atmospheric presence and sound to it. And it's a really enjoyable experience to listen through the Lyr 2. And that's what I look for when I buy audio products, is that experience. But honestly, that's about all I can really review of the Lyr 2 without just kind of going in circles. When products are made so well for their price, yes, the Lyr 2 can be outdone, but you do have to go into products that are quite a bit more money. It's just hard to review it without saying, oh, it just sounds good, etc. So to overall sum up what my thoughts on the Lyr 2 is build quality is just wonderfully top-notch. It just cannot be outdone in this price point that I've personally found. It's American-made, and that's a personal, I'm not holding against any other company, whether before or against, but these products are American-built. And for, again, me personally, I love that feature. There's not a whole lot of input, so if you're wanting a balanced at all input or output, you're not going to get it with the Lyr 2. The stock tubes, they're not the greatest. I would strongly concur you to buy a better set of tubes. Again, I have linked to a HeadFi forum in my full written review, which even that is linked in the description box down below. I recommend you check that out. Everything's linked so you can find it very easily. Sound quality is top notch. The bass is very dynamic and very controlled. It's going to be more forward in this presentation than probably what you're used to on previous amps. The mids also gain a little bit more body to them. It sounds more natural presentation to it. Treble, to me personally, I couldn't really tell much of a difference on the amps on the treble side. It's probably just my ears, but I just couldn't tell any difference. But guys, that is actually it for my review of the Schiit Audio Lyr 2. If you have any questions or if there's anything I may have missed, or if you'd like me to specify anything more in particular or talk about something more specific, please hit me up in the comments down below. I will very happily and quickly reply to each and every one of you. If this video helped you out, or if there's someone who you know is interested or looking for a headphone amp, give this video a like button and or share it to them. Hopefully I can help them find one and give them as much enjoyment in a product that I have had this past year. But anywho, guys, as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure, but most importantly, and please I ask, stay safe.